started. Let's get going. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. It's the top of the hour. And one thing we like to do is get going on time. I am going to mute lines for now. Not that we don't want to say good morning, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Those who are watching live and those who will be joining after we've recorded. So we are recording. So it would be nice if we could see you guys. We welcome that. We also welcome any kind of interaction. Of course, we know what's going on with AR, but we'd welcome questions. We want you guys to be able to ask your questions, to get involved. So thanks for joining, Robert, and coming on live. And Ursula, great to see you here. Hi. And Key and Nancy are here as well. So welcome, guys. So today's coffee chat is all about augmented reality. And we want to talk to you guys to give you a little bit more knowledge if you've never worked with it, if you've never been involved in it, and to ensure you have all your questions asked. On today's call, Dave is going to be the co-host, and most of you know who Dave is. He's with Hasmark Publishing. And our other guest host is Daniel. He is the developer of the app. So we're really, really honored that he's here today, because if anybody needs questions answered, he's your man. Yeah. So, and I think we're going to learn a lot of really fun stuff today about what goes on with AR and other uses for it. We thought we had it already locked in, but yesterday in a pre-call, we learned a few things. So I'm going to hand over the virtual mic to Dave and Daniel, and thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Judy. And hi, Daniel. Nice to have you here with us today.
Hey there, everyone.
It's nice to be joined by everyone. And I would like to start as well by saying that augmented reality, we launched this late last year, and it was it became quite a thing for us. As the Amazon is international and we are international, and we are the first publisher to actually bring augmented reality, to use it this way in books and bring it to the international world. And it's absolutely awesome. And everyone is having so much fun with it. And what I'd like to talk to you guys about today, or ask you about today as well, is all the different ways that you can see or think about it being used, how we can use it, what it does, how it works and such. Most of you probably already know a little bit about it, at least. And so we're going to answer your questions as well. And so I'd like to kind of cover a few things, but really make it interactive as well. I don't know, Daniel, if there's anything else you want to say before we get started.
No, I'll let you run with it, Dave, and I can plug in.
Yep, perfect. So one of the things that when we first heard about augmented reality, we came up with the kind of obvious ways of using it within your book. And those ways include, obviously, you'd have a marker in your book, and we're going to talk more about markers in a minute and what makes a good marker. But when they scan your marker, the augmented reality experience is often a video, and it would be a talking head type video where you're talking to the camera, explaining whatever the concept was or whatever's going on. And then, you have that wonderful call to action to actually bring the reader to your website. So that's sort of the common way of using it. But I find people are coming up with other inventive ways of using it. For example, let's say you have an image, and with that image, you're actually invoking music or a song of some sort, or you're invoking a different type of AR experience. Let's say just a voiceover, but the image is still there. So there's different ways of using it that way, and also different places of using the AR marker. So is there anybody else who has any other cool ideas of how or where AR could be used and how it could be used in your books? Crickets?
I can start.
Sure.
Because we were the experiment, you know, in terms of launching AR with Hasmark. The first book that we did it with was a book called Expeditions to Success, which you beautifully prepared and we launched. And the author, it was a business book of sorts. And so there was really practical content presented, principles through the book. The augmented reality was used to connect the reader with the author. And so Joe, who is the author, yeah, Dave has the book there, was really personal in sharing stories from his life that brought those principles to life. And that is the wonderful thing about augmented reality, right? It's a tool to provide immersive experiences to your readers and connect them to you and really have the content come to life, whatever that content may be. So the feedback that I've received from many people that I know that bought the book and have read it and experienced the augmented reality, the overwhelming feedback that I've received, a lot of great things. It's neat, like great stories, all of those sorts of things. But the greatest consensus is around the fact that they feel like they know Joe by the end of the book. The book had, I think, 19, Judy, maybe 18 or 19 AR experiences in there. And they were all stories related to the particular principle of the chapter. And so by the end of the book, people knew the author. They really felt a connection, which was the goal. So that's one example, Dave, from our experiences.
Yeah.
That was an incredible example too, because Joe is how old? I don't think he minds us sharing that.
No, not at all. This year, 88.
88. Wow. And it, I mean, again, there are it's unique because Bob Proctor's, I think, 87 this year. And it's incredible to meet the person, the difference in the dynamic of getting to talk, seeing that person. Like, I know we got to meet Joe on a call. You brought him on with us. And the difference of the energy of him talking to us compared to just reading the text version, like it brought a whole other dimension to his message. And that's probably one of the primary features of AR. I mean, there's literally lots and lots and lots more. And I know today we want to talk about what we've done with it, but I know you had some other ideas for other stuff. And I know we're doing one with, I don't see Jonette on the call. One of the things is we brought into her book, Giggles in My Heart. We have animated videos throughout her book, which is phenomenal. It's so cool for kids because they get to watch these little mini, cartoon clips of her book, which is hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. But and what Daniel was saying about getting to know the author, because people are always curious about the author, especially when the content is resonating with them and they're loving the book. They then want to know who's giving me this wonderful information. So when they get that message from the author, it really hits home and makes it more personal for them. And so now they want to support the author. They want to go to your website and see what else you have and dig deeper. And so in many different situations, it all makes sense to have that incentive put out there for them, as you would like it too, though, if the same thing happened to you, right? So it's all good.
I have a question, Dave. Is my speaker on here?
Yeah, you're on.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped into this 2 minutes behind. I just want to understand the augmented reality. So as you're reading a book, there's there would be one of these squares that you put your phone over.
Tom, I am so glad you're asking that question, because I'm just assuming that everybody on this call knows what AR is. So let me explain what or maybe I should have Daniel explain it. He probably has a better understanding of it than I do, but.
Sure, happy to. You're on the right track, Tom, save for the fact that the squares that you were referring to, QR codes, they're intended to direct someone to a website, right? That's the purpose of QR codes. It's a quick link to direct you somewhere else. With augmented reality, the idea is to deliver immersive content on demand. So it doesn't have to be a code. It could be a code. It needs to be something that is unique. So it can be a photograph. It could be an image like the one Dave is showing. There's a photograph there, or it could be a graphic, just something unique, because the lens basically interprets that image as the key to unlock your content. And the content isn't, you're not directing them anywhere, you're presenting it on screen for them. So it might be a video, it might be an animation, it might be a call to action where we're directing them somewhere. It may be something interactive like a survey, they're selecting one of different options and so forth. So really, what I often say is if you can imagine it, we can likely deliver it in terms of what that immersive experience is.
So like in my book, music was a big part of our family's life. During a part in the book when I'm referencing how a song affected us, I could put the song in there. Is there a licensing issue? Are you able to do that? Like Whitney Houston, I love the Lord. That song is in my book. Is it possible to be able to have that represented as augmented reality and have the reader click on it? Is that
technically? I'll answer it technically, and then I'll turn it over to you, Dave, to answer that from all other
legal side.
Technically, yes, we could have music files, audio files. I think in our last session, some of the things that we talked about was for a particular chapter, having an author provide an audio track of an alternate ending, or maybe discussion questions, or whatever the case may be. But yes, it's not a problem to include that.
And
Okay.
I do want to say that whatever applies to a book applies to this in the sense of the law and the copyright. So if you do not have permission to use Whitney Houston's song or anyone else's, you're not supposed to. I'm not a lawyer, but if you talk to a lawyer, they'll tell you without permission, don't use it. Please read between the lines.
okay? Yeah.
But I am to advise you, if you don't have permission, don't use it.
Okay.
I know a great songwriter and musician though.
Yeah. Everything could be fixed one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
And as an example, a book cover can be used to bring up invoke an image, and it is a JPEG, an image, and that image, when you click on it, brings up the songs, or brings you to the website where the songs are for you to download, and such like that. So there's different ways of using it. Exactly.
Well, we're getting ready to release a book that actually will invoke the video, and the video will play the song.
Yeah.
It's a children's book, so it's going to be a bit of a sing-along thing, like a karaoke type of thing, but
the words
it
go
will
by.
invoke the video and it'll be playing the song.
I do have something that possibly we could use because I know who created it. Somebody had created a song for the opening of our movie and said to me, look, if you can use this, go ahead, I give you permission. Maybe I could put that right at the beginning of the book, so they're reading it as they're reading the introduction, as they hear this prelude that we might use for the movie.
Fantastic idea.
And it could be your mother's image. That would be a good marker, by the way.
Okay.
Judy, do you mind if I maybe just take a moment to answer some of the questions in the chat?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
So this is technology. There is an app, the neighbor app, that you're seeing on screen in our backgrounds that is used to access the augmented reality experiences. And because it's tech, everything is largely trackable. So we are able to report on the number of views of a particular experience, or if there's a click through to some sort of web page, we are going to be able to provide analytics around those sorts of things. In terms of successful AR interactions, you know, the most common method of delivery is video, because it's very accessible to you as authors in terms of producing videos. It's a great conduit for brand building from your vantage point. But in terms of content, if I can speak to that for a moment, I think the most engaging content is the type of content that is somewhat exclusive. You know, if there's this aura of exclusivity around what they are experiencing, we have found that to be a tremendous draw. Of course, that needs to be incorporated in terms of how you present that. So as people are with the introduction, for example, or the kind of the early pages, in terms of how we are directing them, how we're instructing them, that their interest is piqued from the outset, that they recognize this isn't just a book for them to consume, but there's this other dimension that is available. So it's important to make sure we don't miss that part of messaging. And I guess just the last thing to mention is there are a variety of objectives that can be accomplished here, whether it's brand building, marketing, education, entertainment, sparking your readers' imagination. AR is just a great forum to reinforce any one of those potential objectives that you may have. Sorry, I said that was the last comment, but I'll make one more. As a result of the pandemic, I mean, AR has been around for a number of years, this whole notion of augmented reality and virtual reality, but we haven't seen it emerge into the mainstream despite its existence for many number of years. And there are a variety of reasons for that, but we're at a point now where technology, even the most basic smartphone, can support augmented reality. Data plans and Wi-Fi proliferation and everything else, it's just been a perfect convergence of many elements that have made the world really open to augmented reality. But one thing that we've seen in the last few months with this pandemic is an acceleration of adoption around augmented reality, because it's such a powerful tool for engagement at a distance, and our world is now being forced to engage from a distance. It's really shining a much brighter spotlight on AR. So, you know, you taking advantage of this in terms of leveraging it within your books as the platform for delivery, the timing is amazing.
Everybody on the call today gets a free download of the Neighbor View app. That's a joke. It's free anyways. So actually, and it's too bad I can't actually hear you guys all, because that was a really funny joke. And this whole room full of laughter would have been, you know, nice. But right now we want to have another one of those draws. So this is our first one for this meeting. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to have the spinning wheel draw for the winner, 50% off your next AR purchase. 50% off. All righty, so here we have the wheel. And give that a good spin. And today's winner is Muriel. Yay. Again, yeah. Clap, clap, clap. Muriel.
I don't know.
I love it. That's fun. Okay, so we have a winner. Just gonna write that down.
I got it, Dave. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
Keep going. Okay,
All right.
you're close.
There's enough
Exactly.
dead air there's enough dead air and crickets when I tell jokes. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Without you spending time typing.
Spending time typing. All right, that's great.
Remember the waiting room.
That's great. Oh yeah, yeah. I get put in the waiting room if I'm not a good boy. That's what happens. So
Okay, yesterday we talked about a couple of things we hadn't even begun to think of as far as what could be part of
how AR could be used.
AR. Yeah, exactly. Because we talked a little bit about voting and how to do that. So I'm curious, you explained it to us yesterday, Daniel. Can you kind of give us an idea how we could do something with voting?
Sure. I'll take it up one level just to start. So the topic of conversation was around gamification, adding some element of gamely interaction through augmented reality, and that can take a variety of different forms. You know, if it's a children's book around a specific theme, there might be a riddle that's presented to the readers from the outset. That's kind of on a printed page. And through the augmented reality, clues are revealed that ultimately results in the reader solving the riddle, right? So having this other layer of reveal to go along with the story unfolding as they read it, or like letters that culminate into a word, like a color or something like that. There's also opportunity for survey types of things where, you know, through buttons on the screen, they can be interacting with you and actually providing feedback to you, where you know, maybe there's a character, a secondary character that's introduced in a story, but is unnamed in the particular book. And, you know, through the AR experience, you put forth a couple of different name examples and have them vote on it. And perhaps the name with the highest vote becomes the name of that character in a follow-up book that you have planned, or the color of the magical creature, or so forth. So there are these different dimensions, and I've given a bunch of examples from a kid's book perspective, because obviously gamification lends itself well to that demographic. But we've also done things, if we think of a business book context or for a moment, nonfiction. If there's a model that your book is centered around, or certain principles that you are trying to drive home, there are also ways to prompt a person's thinking by some of these ideas, like this notion of gamification, if you will, right? And that may be in the form of, if we're talking about a model, revealing different aspects of the model through their reading journey, which ultimately culminates into the full model being presented. And granted, I mean, you're largely doing this through the written word to begin with. With AR, there's just this added dimension of storytelling being added to the mix, specific examples being presented, graphical representations of the model and how it may come together. So actually animating something like that. So these are all different ways of gamification, if you will. And, you know, for some of you, if you have a website that you're trying to get readers to subscribe to, or to maybe dig into some other peripheral, like supplementary materials, it's a great teaser to try and draw them into that as well.
Perfect. So one of the things that I like to tell people about is how they can use augmented reality to add more content or more of a deeper explanation of whatever that chapter or whatever they were just reading about, the reader was just reading about. But one of the ways of using it, let's say in a kid's book, is to actually have an audio version, voiceover type thing, read to them. So they scan each page or the graphic, the picture on that page, and then it can be actually read to them. So there's maybe a way to learn how to read as a young child or whatever. And there's as many ways to use it as you can imagine. you know, but the survey and the gamification of it is brilliant. That's truly interactive, and it's brilliant. Yeah. And I think that the biggest reason that a lot of people will actually use AR in their books is because of the call to action. And that call to action actually has them engaging or taking a step further. And because it's so cool and nifty and new, to actually go ahead and check out the website or get to that sign up for something free download or whatever, right? Again, I'd like to hear about ideas that you might have of how, like, people in the audience here who might have ideas of ways that they would use it with either their business or their particular book that they can think of that we haven't thought of. If anybody wants to.
I'll go first, I guess. So I think what I would consider using it for is to give the reader an opportunity to hear a song while they're starting the introduction of the book, and a song that I can use, and I've been have permission to do that. It's an instrumental, and I guess at the end of the book, having an opportunity to have the reader see a video of me, and I guess sharing with them how I experienced this first book that I've written, how that occurred for me, because there was a lot of things behind the scenes, as you know,
right,
that happened once I made a declaration to start writing. There was a lot of serendipitous things that happened to get me to this point that I'd like to share with the reader and have them understand, I guess, what I went through, and maybe have more of an interaction with me and a personal
right. And your author photo, for example, at the end of the book would be a perfect marker for that. So your mother's photo would be the marker at the beginning for the music, you know. That's a really good idea. Very, very nice. Tom wrote a book about his mother. Well, you guys will hear more about that, I'm sure, soon. Anybody else have any other cool ideas or cool ways of using augmented reality in your book that we haven't talked about? I think Judy's trying to talk to me. There you go.
I'm asking you to refer to the chat window.
Refer to the chat window.
Yeah, because Nancy mentions here she has a historical novel. And what she said was, could I reference an old newspaper article about whatever I'm referring to at that point?
Oh.
I know. What a cool
that's
idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, Daniel's sitting here nodding his head yes.
Yes.
No, that's fantastic. That's a great example in that, you know, if you perhaps you could have a screen capture of that article or some sort of rendering that represents that article with an audio commentary specific to that. So some added content, if you will, that just provides a more robust picture.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, that's very, very good.
Yeah.
I
see Nancy. She says, I got lots of ideas.
I have an idea.
Bryce?
Are you able to open your lineup, Nancy? No, not. You mentioned you were at work. Okay, no worries at all. Yeah. You can keep on typing because we know how to read, at least sometimes.
I think Bryce has an idea.
Yeah, something occurred to me. Because the books I'm writing are fiction, I was thinking I could use AR for a book trailer. I mean, since there are movie trailers,
definitely
book trailers. So maybe if the reader wants to just have like a 2-minute trailer of what the book's about, you can just watch the trailer and okay, yeah, I like what it's showing. I like what I'm seeing.
That's a very, very good idea. So we've used one of the things. I mean, there's a lot of places where you could use a book trailer like that, including the cover of the book. So when you use the cover of the book, people sort of get a book trailer I mean, they have to know enough to do that. So usually we have the instruction page as you open the book, and it'll have the actual picture of the front of the cover of the book where they can test it or try it right now, but they'll recognize it's the front of the book. And so they'll be able to use their book. And then in your case, if you're using the cover of the book as whatever the marker is, it's irrelevant. Everywhere else that you show the cover of your book, or everywhere else that you show your marker, is also will also invoke that augmented reality experience. Now that to me is really cool. Ursula did a wonderful little video for us where she uses a coffee cup. She has her book cover on the yeah, it was so cool. So I love that. That was it. I never even thought of that, you know. So I guess that's the next question: is where else would you use your marker? Everybody understand what the marker is?
How about on the back cover of the book, if you have a book trailer?
Just as good, yes, absolutely.
Well, it depends. It needs an image to invoke it, though.
Right, but a lot of times you'll have the author image or something on the back.
Okay.
And Dave, just before you move on Bryce's point, yes, you were speaking specifically to the book at hand. That's fantastic, that cup. But you know, adding a few extra pages into the book to showcase other available titles, right? And having trailers associated with those, you know, making that a standard practice in all of your books, right? To draw people in, make them aware, and tease out some of the other books to entice them to purchase them. That's a great.
I love that, because we even get compliments if we sit here on any of our social media channels and we put like teasers out there. I always get somebody commenting on that. So the fact that I think it's a brilliant idea that you use the book trailers, because it's another use for a book trailer, and you're actually leading folks to the next book. Well, that's incredible. That's the best form of marketing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dave, another one of our authors, he just put his marker on a business card. So the marker that's inside his book is now on his business card. And then I believe he actually also made a bookmark. So it will be everywhere, and it will, as he starts to share it, it will bring them back to the book, which is another great marketing form as well.
Yeah, because if you're using it on your business card or a bookmark, you could also have like that video that plays, whatever is going to play, and a call to action, driving them to, you know, the link where they can buy the book directly. So really connecting the dots. Now, they'll have that same experience on the cover, but that's okay.
Exactly.
They won't click the link again. But. And marker, there's the question, Dave, on what is a marker?
So that, and thank you for asking. And a marker is, we've all seen barcodes and QR codes where we can scan them with our phone and it brings up the price or a web link or something like that. Well, a marker is a picture or an image or some sort of a graphic that can be used to invoke, that you would scan to invoke the AR experience. So the marker is any kind of unique picture that doesn't sort of exist already. So a circle, for example, would not be a good marker because there's circles everywhere, or squares everywhere. But around which you have more graphic, different color shades, things like that. Sorry, Judy, what were you going to hold?
I was going to show you that Jonette's book, and I started to take off. The beauty of what I like about the augmented reality, the marker for this, is that it's much more visually appealing than a barcode, because you literally can use an image to invoke it. So Jonette, for instance, she has several in her book, but she uses her picture as one. She has a logo of a couple of hearts that she does, like it's an image of a heart, I should say. that will invoke the marker, the AR, to work. We've actually used an entire page that will invoke the augmented reality to work too.
Right.
I love it a lot better because it's an image and not a, like a UPS code or UPC code
Right.
or a
Right.
QR code. It's much more appealing because it repeats. It's able to, we can actually take the image and everything that we're doing with it. One thing we did was we even used the Hasmark logo. Daniel doesn't suggest you use logos, but we did it intentionally as a demonstration when we first began to show augmented reality. We used our own logo because little did authors know that everybody on the call right now will actually invoke augmented reality just by having our logo on the back of it. Everyone's book already has augmented reality if they're published by Hasmark. They just don't know it. It's the best kept secret. But we're out there in the world already with a few thousand books.
And even when your marker has sort of the original shape, but it even has words. But the words and the background shape, all of that adds to the uniqueness and the different tones, the tonality of the shading. So bright and darks and such. And that's what makes a good marker. And again, as Judy was saying, that's so much nicer than looking at a QR code or even a barcode that you really don't understand, right? So do we know what time it is?
Time for another?
I think it's time for another spin of the wheel.
Okay, you two.
All right. So this time, the winner is going to receive 50% off their next AR purchase. And Donna. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Hey, Donna got it.
It looked like it might go.
I know.
There you go.
Tom was so close on that one. He's
I
like, shucks, he was right there.
Well, maybe next time.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations, Donna.
Oh dear, I love it.
There's another question here, Dave, about does the AR marker work the same in Kindle books, PDF versions? You activate it with mobile only, or can we use an iPad as well? Daniel, maybe you want to answer that one for us.
Sure. It does, in fact, work quite well on Kindle devices. iPads, it works on screens as well. The only thing we need to be aware of is gloss, right? If there's any sort of reflection. So as you know, iPads are high gloss screens. So if someone is looking at it in sunlight and they're trying to activate the AR marker, there may be a little bit of challenge in the lens locking onto it. But as a general rule, it works fine on screens.
Right.
And it works on anything though. Like you can also invoke it reading a Kindle. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, Kindles are fantastic. The way Kindle's screens are, it works amazing.
Yeah, tablets can be like we can invoke. We use our logo, or I know that Mark Wilkinson uses his own image, and we can actually go to his website and with our phone, and we can scan that image, and it will work. So it works on any printed product. Works, of course, on all the pages of any book. But and Ursula was the one who actually tried it on a mug, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it can be on just about, the image itself can be on just about any kind of surface.
A t-shirt. Any printed.
We haven't tried that
surface.
one yet. We have to find somebody who's going to put up their hand and say, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. There you go.
So that would be fun.
But good question, because the more you understand about your marker, and when you select a marker and what you select to use, the more places you can use it outside of your book. So yes, it works in your book, but then it works everywhere else too. And so how cool is that to demonstrate to people, to show people, have them demonstrate to their friends the magic of this particular picture or marker, right? So, and the book covers or the author photos or whatever your, Roberto did he did this, again, we took sort of this unique shapely blobby thing and we did some fancy writing on it and we put it all together in such a way that it made a good marker. And so now he can use that stamp all over the place and it'll work for him. So yeah, it can be pretty cool. Nancy did a thing where it was like a poster with the staff and the music, the treble clef and some notes and such. But again, it was the different colors or the different shades of black and white that gave it that uniqueness that made the good marker. Yeah.
Olga's saying she's going to put it on a mask. And that'll be entertaining as people walk up to you.
Try to scan your mask.
Yeah, scan your mask. Put their phone right in your face.
I love it.
That's too funny.
We actually did a joke. You're making that as a funny comment where the mask activated the rest of the person's face. So you can't see anyone's smiles anymore, but the AR experience was the smile that everyone was missing that was hidden behind the mask.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in because that's exactly what I thought. It's like, hey, you know what? I can see person's face, full face. That's the idea behind it, right? And well, with my see the happiness by you, it's, hey, I'm smiling. Even if you don't see it, I'm smiling. Here, yeah, you can check it out. So just a thought.
I can't wait. I need to get those masks created. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen many I like, so it'd be cool to have it with the big smile face. Be wonderful.
So one of the questions that we had that were sent in ahead of time were some of the benefits of augmented reality and what types of books would they best be used in or featured in. And it's really because there's sort of no limit to the imagination, they really fit into any book. There's really good ways of using them in children's books. There's really good ways of using them in self-help books. We were talking earlier about different ways of using them in like a fiction book. Alternative. Daniel once came up with the idea of alternate endings. And how cool would that be, right? To actually change the ending of the written book or have alternative endings, right? So
there's that, and the other one, I'm just reminding you, so when this eventually happens, make sure and please share the book with me.
Yeah.
So the alternate ending was one, and the other was backstory. So often we're forced to pull out details about certain secondary characters and using AR maybe to build out certain directions that didn't find its way in the book.
Yeah. I think that's key too. Yeah.
But it's like, and I think we forget sometimes when we're creating the book that the reader wants to get to know us, the writer. That's really, really important, is connection. And it's unfortunate Danielle wasn't able to come on the call. She's our branding manager, but she talks about that type of thing all the time where the reader or the viewer wants to know who's behind. Like take Apple, for instance, or Facebook, for instance. Those are incredible movies because guess what we want to know? Like I did watch the Mark Gutenberg and how he did the whole Facebook thing and how it all began and how it, because we're interested. In fact, she showed us that those guys personally have more network than, for instance, Apple might have. And it's like, wow, who would have expected that? But it just goes to show you, people want to know who it is behind anything. They don't want to just know the book itself. They really like the book. Like they're gone. Like they just want to meet you. And what a great way to meet is to have you pop up live. It just changed. I'll never forget meeting Joe and how much that changed the whole perspective of that book because of meeting him in person and seeing him live.
Yeah.
So,
Key Bergman was talking about the personality the way when you write a book and the way you intend a message to be received. And sometimes in writing, people don't quite read it the same way as you might intend. But so when there's a particularly passionate lesson or something of importance that you really want to get across, okay, and Tom's book would be another example of that, where it would be awesome for the author to basically say those words or something similar, that message, the way they intend it to be heard, right? And that would be so much more than just reading the book. So that, I mean, you can imagine how the reader would feel getting that extra shot in the arm from the book as opposed to just for what they read. Yeah, does that make sense? Kind of a cool thing. Anyway, I love the idea of adding so much more emotion and value to the book for the
Well,
reader.
it's funny because Nancy made a comment, and then I'm thinking about Tom too. Their books are about real life places. Well, that's a pretty awesome thing that you can take the reader to the actual location. Right?
Yes.
You talked about that, Tom. You sent us a message about that with reference to you were thinking of going to the property and recording a video.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to the property to launch the book.
Right. But I'm thinking is what a great record it ahead of time and use it for augmented reality.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And Nancy's talking about a manor house that she is central to the last third of the book. And she's talking about she could put, when she talks about this manor, she could actually have it. And she mentioned here, would that be distracting to the reader? Well, it's about the placement of it too. It's at the appropriate time. I would suggest never in the middle of a chapter, for sure. Always at the beginning or the end of a chapter, or the beginning or end of the book. Right. Because in Joe's case, we used it at the end of every chapter. I think there was about 20 or 21 in that book. But
one of the things I did want to point out too, we talk about using your cell phone to scan because the app is downloadable to your cell phone. Actually, the app will work on other devices as well, like a tablet or an iPad. Isn't that right, Daniel?
Yeah, it's built for Android and iOS. So any device running those.
So basically, if it has a camera and an internet connection, you should be good to go. So that's I think that kind of came up a couple of times, and I think we missed that part. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I'm reading some of the questions. Perhaps we should give Tom a chance to win 50% off another AR experience. cross your fingers, Tom. Here we go, round and round and round you go. All it was started it, Tom.
Dave got carried away with this wheel this week. He's doing it every day with the website as well.
Ursula is winning everything. Yay, Ursula.
She's on a roll this week.
She
we also have contests going on for anyone signing up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
And every day Dave does a draw because he has to, now that he's been shown this wheel, thanks
Josh. I'm playing with it. I love the wheel.
Every
Ursula von Österreich. Chris gut, alles gut. There we go. All right. Well, that's great. Well, good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations. All right, Tom.
You have too much fun, Dave.
Oh, he's waiting for I know what he's waiting for.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what he's
top
waiting
of the hour.
For. Okay, you think it gets better.
Could I just ask another question here? Or
please do.
Yes, please.
Judy, when you said never in the middle of a chapter, what's been the experience so far as to where these should be placed?
It's
I know we don't want to break up the reader's concentration and the flow.
Correct. And I would definitely say have done them at the end of every chapter, and we've done them also. One of the things that actually, and I don't have the book here, that specific book, but one thing that Jonette did was you let the reader go through the book, and at the back of the book, they created a page that shows you where all the markers are. So now we go back through the book to find it. So it's been book covers. There's an instruction page that starts the book too. Honestly, Tom, you got chapters. There's no reason it can't be in the chapter if it's related to that. Otherwise, I would put it at the front or the back.
Because what I was hesitating on was after the introduction, do we want to put something like that, or do we want to get them right into the book, the first chapter? Does it enhance that experience, or does it delay the reader?
I don't know whether, I don't think that it's going to delay, as long as, because you've already given them a pause. They've read the introduction, they've stopped, they've taken a breath.
Okay.
Then you really want to draw them in now. You want that there's no choice but to continue reading. And now they know it on a different level. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I would bring, to me personally, if I was doing it, I would do it sooner than the book and rather than the end of the book. Because again, I just find it's a whole different experience. It just puts me into a whole other mindset when I get to meet or find out more.
Yeah. I like your idea though of doing the book trailer at the beginning, because that makes me want to read the book. But now that I've read the book, I love the idea of hearing from you and how this book came to be and why you wrote it. That's a great way to put that in your own words, right?
Where do you think that should be, Dave?
Well, you do touch on that in the intro, right at the beginning. But your author experience, your image at the end, about the author page, now you're actually reiterating those words, or you're talking, maybe you're putting more of that story out there for them.
So at the end,
at the end of the book, after they've read it all, it's kind of like when you watch a movie and it's based on a true story or something, and then at the end you see the real pictures of the real people
in the old photos, and
and that kind of that were there.
Another thing with your book is the letter too.
Yes.
Right, which your mom starts with that. Did you move it to the front start or the back of the book? Did you keep it?
Still stays in the back. Still
stays. That could be something else, that there could be an image associated there that could read that, because that's powerful. Really, really powerful.
Just one thought to add to the mix. On the assumption that on an early page, we are providing instructions to the reader around AR, that this book has been enhanced and here are the steps. From a behavioral science perspective, you don't want to wait too long to nudge them. So you don't want to give them the instructions at the beginning and then the AR, if there's just one, like the AR experience is buried at the end. You kind of want to nudge them earlier in the process if that's possible. So just to, again, get them, they've been told, maybe they can activate something on that instructional page, but you want to jump into a real experience as early as I think you can without detracting from the book.
Sorry, just
that makes a lot of sense.
This
you want to hook them and you want to allow them to experience it early after they've read that. So they're familiar with it and it's not a surprise or something they forgot about and have to interrupt a read to go back to the front.
Okay. Right. So this is the instruction page that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the cover of the book, you're going to recognize right away that this is the cover of the book. But if it's not the cover of the book, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if you scan that image right there, you're going to get the experience. Right? So if it's the author's photo at the end, which is fine as well, then you can either have that photo up at the beginning, or by default, we're going to use our own logo. So if it's something else for the end, then there's the, let me get back to this for a second. There's the view logo.
So the point is we have an instruction page right at the very beginning that invokes it immediately.
Yeah.
And to Daniel's point, then you've already captured their attention with it, as opposed to waiting till the back of the book.
Right.
And you want that to be only one image consistent throughout the book? Or can it be different? Or,
it should be different if they're activating different experiences. So each image is the key to unlock a specific AR experience.
So all of those images are early. They're introduced on that same page. So there wouldn't just be that picture of the book cover, which is augmented reality. There'd also be other pictures on that page, so they're familiar with it.
No.
When they get to that part of the
No,
read.
what we're doing is we're explaining the reader to get the app how to use augmented reality. So that's what that is. It's an instruction page for the reader to understand how to use it. And what we do is we use one of the examples that are from inside the book.
Okay.
As the image to show them, so that we've got them captured, we've captured their attention.
So
Then,
during their read, when they get to a different image, is it in brackets beside or parentheses, this is an augmented image?
there's a little symbol. The little view symbol here actually is in the book. It's
okay.
Yeah, so what we're doing is that instruction page explains to the reader that every time you see the view symbol, it will invoke a different augmented reality. It'll invoke augmented reality.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the consistency of imaging that will relate back to the fact that this is augmented reality on this page.
Correct. Correct. Because again, it doesn't mean like it's like our logo. Yeah. So there's the example of the page. It's perfect, Dave.
So this is an example. It doesn't have to be just like this. If it's a book cover, it'll be more on the side in the shape of the book cover. But our logo is the default if we don't do something else. And this will give them an experience. It's not the one in your book, but this view symbol here will identify where it is in your book. And by reading this, they'll know they're looking for that view symbol.
Okay.
So when they get to your book, or when they get to that view symbol, they'll recognize, oh, this is something for me to scan. You can see what Jenna has going on there. Yeah. Oh, that's the experience that gets invoked. Exactly.
Yeah, you can't really see it from my phone right now, but you can see that there's the button. If I click on it to learn more, it'll bring you to the.
That'll take you to our
my
website.
Internet is awful, so it's good to take you to the Hasmark page.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just from the neighbor view app. So I locked it, but you can unlock it so it will go away. And then if I scan it again, it'll pop back up, and then you can lock the video to stay there.
Right. Right.
Oh, I was spotlighted. Sorry.
That's good. No, that's good. That's perfect.
I figured it's easier to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the beauty, what I really like too, that you guys developed, Daniel, is that when you invoke the video, you invoke the app to happen, you can lock the screen. And then you can actually turn it sideways as well, so that you can get a larger view of it. And that allows you time to go, because the best feature of it is the action that comes as a result of it.
The call to action. Yeah.
Yeah. Which can take you to a website or wherever it may take you.
Yeah.
Another book, Amazon.
Exactly.
So.
Or answering a survey question.
Yeah,
Things
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, how about this call to action at the end of a book? If they click on that and what comes up is an immediate share page where they can share the website or that book website with a friend or friends.
That's a good question. Daniel, is that a share? Or does that have
Yeah,
to come from a
well,
website?
from the web page, you can, when it sounded there, like Tom, there were 2 steps in the process.
Okay.
Because if the first step is them going to that more information page, and then the next step is sharing that with others, right? Then that share option would exist within that page.
Okay. Because a lot of people read books and at the end of it, they say, you know, Bob would enjoy this book, and they're on the last page and they're thinking about somebody maybe who would be interested in the book, and they can share it with them right away. That's what I was thinking.
I understand now. So as of today, the way we would accommodate that is basically share with a friend, maybe use a button to take them to a page that has a mechanism that allows them to enter in the person's email address and any sort of personal message and send. In the future, we'll have some of that functionality available in the lens itself.
Can I say something? It's just to add to Tom's point about sharing the icon. I'm just going to ask Tom, do you mean like, you know, when you have a picture on your phone, and then you press and hold, and then it comes to the option share, and then you can share maybe through WhatsApp, through Facebook. Is that what Tom means as well? Just to help clarify the point as well for everyone to understand. Is that what you're trying to say, Tom, as well?
Oh, where'd he go?
Oh, we lost Tom. I think that's what he was trying to say.
I think so too. But he disappeared.
But he disappeared. Too bad, because he was just about to win something.
I think his internet
but he's got to be present to win. That's it.
I think his internet froze though, Dave, because he's there again. Like his window opened, but I think I saw him freeze, and then he was gone.
Oh well.
I know.
Oh well. It is what it is.
Okay, so we are coming up to, we are actually at the top of the hour. Do you guys have more questions? Is there anything else we can answer? How are you guys doing through it all?
I would just like to say that I'm a newbie to all this, and this is so exciting. And I feel that it's such, like you said at the very beginning, this heart-to-heart connection with the reader when they can hear your emotions, and there's no way they can misinterpret that, you know. And I think it's a great way to engage, and I just love this. I had no idea what this was about.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, because everybody should know about this for sure. Well,
and you can have lots. No, Tom's back.
I know. That's what I'm going to say. Tom's back.
I had an internet issue here, I think, for the last 3 minutes.
No, you finally won something.
Oh, did I win something?
Oh.
But you weren't here, so.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah, sorry. Exactly.
You had to be here. Sorry, Tom.
Okay. All right. Next time.
Yeah, exactly. I think Jim is jumping the gun a little, but okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
No. Let's give it a spin. Oh, Tom!
Yay!
Oh, he did it! kids.
I forgot to mention what it is that you
No,
want.
if I get
you
another
like this
50%
one.
off, is it free?
Actually really strange. How did we joked about that?
I forgot to mention what it is that you win. And
Oh, I'm
this
so
is very
sorry. I
serious.
really did jump the gun.
I'm gonna
okay.
let Judy tell you what you won.
For this one, well, it was the right to be here. So
No,
thanks for
you
showing up.
All right. See you
I
next
get my
time.
humor from Dave, not.
Yeah, I write all her jokes for her.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you're going to get a free experience. So
You
we're
win a
going
free,
to,
not
yeah,
50.
we're gifting you a free augmented reality experience for your book. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that really
You're
was
welcome.
supposed to be the grand prize here. And yeah, so-
Exactly.
That was my fault. I really took away from that.
no.
That announcement.
That's okay. It
okay.
happened.
Oh, good. This all
Yeah.
is working great.
Yay.
Now, my question,
Fantastic.
I did submit this question last week to prepare for this meeting, but what are the costs associated with that? Is that something you want to get into now?
Oh, well, we have a webpage for that.
Yeah, and Jenna did share it in the chat window. And then after the call, we're going to send an email for everybody so they can go and see. For instance, we have Ursula's video where she shows her scanning her mug, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll send everybody an email afterwards. But the chat, it is on our website. It's on the new site. Thank goodness.
Okay.
So I think you have to look under services and it's one of the tabs there.
You'll see it there.
But
Augmented
yeah, you'll
reality.
find it on our website. And we'll make sure everybody after the call gets an email with that too. And then we're
Great.
going to let you guys all know how to get. It's going to be easy, but we'll make sure to let you know how we're going to go about giving you your prizes too. So yeah, I see Jenna put it in the window
Yay.
again. So yeah, thanks everybody. This has been great. I actually get to learn more and more all the time too.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
love the
great
ideas. Keep
ideas.
them coming. And just so you know, we didn't mention this at the beginning of the call, but we literally are the first publisher in the world to bring this on a global platform.
Mhm.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that means so are you. And I find that one of the things that I was taught long time ago is you want to stand out. You're competing right now with something like 50 million books on Amazon. Well, how better to stand out than to do something unique, do something a little different.
Right.
So you have bragging rights to the fact that you're one of the first in the
Mhm.
publishing industry to bring your book out with augmented reality. So
That's great. Well
Yeah.
done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an incredible partnership with Daniel and the rest of his group too. Their support team have been incredible. They're always available to us, always quick to answer our calls. We're having a little tiny bit of an issue with one of our locations of a phone, but we're working through and we're seeing it's making it throughout the entire world. It's
Mhm.
been quite a time we've had getting us to there, but over the last couple of months, it's been running really, really well in multiple countries. So it's phenomenal. In fact, I think Ursula's in Austria. Is that correct?
Ursula, she keeps her coffee mug in Austria. Yeah.
Yep, that's a good place for the coffee mug. And yes, we all want one. Does that mean we have to come there to get it? Maybe you're selling them on your site. If not, you probably need to. Yeah. Yeah. See, I can even see doing things like cards and stuff like that because everything now, your bookmarks, everything can be done with that image. And then you're going to evoke. You just got to put the little icon on it and you're set.
So Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today and being a co-host and answering
Appreciate
some of
your
the tougher
time.
questions.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Lovely meeting everyone.
Yeah, great meeting everyone. Thank you all. And
Thank you.
we're
I learned
always
a lot.
available.
I learned a
Good.
lot. Thank you.
Okay.
We are also having another coffee chat in 2 weeks. We'll announce that soon. And of course, we're launching our website this week. So there's other prizes to be won.
Oh yeah, because
Sign
Dale
up for
got
the
it.
newsletter.
Dave got excited about that wheel.
Yeah. I want to play with the wheel some more. So get your
Yeah.
name on it if it's not already.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing day.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.